Hello, welcome to Toffee TV. It is the final word. Everton 0, Aston Villa 1. With the home defeat for Everton. 2 on the spin now in the Premier League. And disappointing start to David Moyes' second era at Everton, second stint at Everton. What do you make of it?
Deflating. I feel really flat today, I must admit. I feel really flat. I think everyone probably feels a little bit like the same. And don't get me wrong, it's not the way we got beaten. It was a close game and it was a silly mistake by a couple of Everton players that have cost us the goal, but I just feel quite flat. So it's like, because I felt more nervous going into this game, because it's like the dice has been rolled now by sacking the manager.
The dice has been rolled, or the dice
has been rolled.
No, that's right. I thought you said the dice has been. I was thinking
maybe I did.
Who knows? Yeah,
maybe
sorry. Yeah, go on. Okay.
I'll let the subtitles tell you.
They'll tell you. Yeah.
So yeah, it was. We've been beaten 1-0 by a decent side, but yet it feels like, I don't know. It doesn't. And it's like the manager's only been in for 2 days, but it just feels like almost like there's a realization how hard the next 18 games are going to be. And I think that David Moyes now knows that as well.
Yeah, I mean, obviously there was a bit of excitement going into it, or excitement's probably not the right word, but there was an uplift feeling, but some of it was, the bit of the air was let out the balloon when the team news came out. A lot of people, we got a lot of messages, people going to match with people when it got in the stadium, and they were like, to make it the team, and it was, what can you do? You know, the manager's gone safe, I think, with the first one. I think he went with, maybe on the advice of, I don't know, maybe Leighton Baines and Coleman and stuff, of being like, well, these players are sort of, I don't know if that's real, or whether the manager just made that decision based on 2 days or whatever. But I think a lot of people were hoping for a bit of a different sort of setup to start it. But listen, he's got what he's got, and I actually thought Everton, I thought we were brighter than we have been. I thought we were a bit more on we weren't fully on the front foot, but we were a bit more on the front foot. I thought we did get people around Dominic Calvert-Lewin, we did have people higher up the pitch, we did try to pass the ball a little bit more, so there was some encouraging signs. But I think when you go through Everton's squad or team, let's say the team, forget the squad, you go through the team, you sort of go, back four is all right, and the numbers tell you they're all right, and the midfield, a couple of them are fine, and where people, I think, have had an issue with me saying that the squad is better than what it's showing, and they're probably right, is the final third. Now, I based that on hoping Lindstrom would get the odd goal, and Harrison would chip in, and Dom would score, and Jai would get a few more, and Beto and things like that. And they're not, and therefore I have to say to them people, yeah, fair play, fair enough. But I think there's a basis of a team that can stay away from trouble there. Somehow, I don't know how, them front players are gonna start having to put the ball in the net.
Yeah, I mean, the team, I looked at it like a couple of ways. Like, you've only been there a day or so, you go with what maybe you think is the most consistent lineup, the one that's been getting results, because you might think, well, at the least you might get a point out of this game by playing a team that's normal. Then there's if you can get something out of them, then you can go, well, actually we got a little bit more out of them by playing a bit more. And also I think there's that like default setting of like, if you change players, is it because you've changed players, or then is it become the tactics? Or is it, it's almost like you want their players who've been into, so you want to look at them and go, right, I've seen them now, and I've got these other players over there, and I know where I want to improve. And any way you look at it, it's a bit of a risk. I think for us as a fan, it's almost like that mental lift of going, oh God, he's put Patterson in the team, or he's playing Addison Armstrong, or he's playing Gray at the back. It's more that mental thing of like, again, that's more to do with us as fans. Like we need. Even though it's, we've had the change, I think we all know deep down that this isn't a great team. And you want to see something a bit more, something a bit different. I mean, I think, you know, you're talking about the final third. I think we're going to, you know, I always thought we were going to struggle to score goals this season, and we rely on McNeil so much with those set pieces, and it's so evident how without him we just don't create opportunities. Like, it doesn't have to come from a set piece, but it can come from second phase, like we saw against Wolves. But that shows how important he is to just getting the ball in the box, causing a bit of chaos, maybe making the opposition defend in a different way, which makes it, which I don't know, like things like maybe if a player's out wide, you're not tempted to make that tackle because you don't want to bring him down, because you know McNeil's got a really good left foot. You know, like little things like that. Like if we're playing against a team and you know he's got like last night, you're thinking, oh, don't give a foul away just outside the box. They've got like Luca Dean or another one.
Sealemans.
And I mean, we did, but it came to nothing. But it is those little psychology things of, I think we are missing McNeil's ability on the ball and just moments that I think he can create sometimes as well that maybe some of the players don't create. But it's just you can what I think what we know now is, and I think it's what we knew under Sean Dyche anyway, was we need new players. We need to get 3 new players in, a little bit of injection of pace, a little bit of just to get everyone just a little bit more excited about being at the match and excited to see players. It's especially those going to match. You know, new manager or not, it is tough. It is tough to sit there. You know what you're going to get for most of the game. You know it's going to be a slog. It's hard work.
Yeah, I mean, we all go to match through our own eyes, don't we? That's what it's about. You go, different people will take different things from it. But even if we've got a range of views that are slightly different, all of us, and you know, I could be here and someone else could be there. But what makes us meet in the middle is we want to see Everton win and we want to see goals scored. That's why we go the game. It's not, when you say entertainment, I'm not talking about, you know, being on the edge of your seat for 90 odd minutes. I know we're not at that level, but the entertainment is scoring a goal, is getting on the edge of your seat. Sometimes it's those moments that the dream is for you to have a team that can win trophies. Of course it is. That's the dream, isn't it? Everton aren't nowhere near that. So therefore everything gets you know, sort of tempered. But the least surely you'd expect to do is go and see a team that can score goals and have some players who are get you on the edge of your seat and give you that hope that going into the game. And that's certainly what David Moyes created in his first stint at Everton. He did create, listen, we didn't win anything. Got to a cup final, got to some semis and had European runs and stuff, but you'd go to most home games thinking you had the chance. You go to most home games. Everton won a lot of home games under David Moyes. You know, and again, he's had 2 days. And therefore, what do you expect? There was some little bright spots that I could see. Yeah. Not loads, and not where you go, oh, we were brilliant, because we weren't brilliant at all. We stayed in what was a very tight game. They had more quality than us, you could see it. Of course they did. The bench was players didn't even bring on it. Walt moonwalk into our team. But you're absolutely right. We need to get players in this month. We would have needed them if Sean Dyche was here, if Everton had got Graham Potter, if David Moyes was here. Now we need it. It doesn't matter who it is. We need some quality and some pace. Just on the team now. I mean, without sort of bagging them out, like Jack Harrison just doesn't work on the right. I think if you're gonna play him, because you're like, he's a hard worker, Jack, and all that, and I think you've got to, you know. You've got to sort of take your hat off to that. He does give everything. It just doesn't work on the right. And therefore, if you're going to play him, for me, I'd rather just see him on the left. He'll still protect Michalenko. Even Jai, you want him wide, play him wide right then. Because he had Ashley Young, who is defensive behind him. So just give Harrison that. And even that would have made me go, well, there's something a little bit different. I know a lot of people don't want to have Decore in the side. So having like Jack Harrison at right wing, when we know it doesn't work, and having Decore in when he splits opinion a little bit and going, where was that freshness? One player that was back in the side was Dominic Calvert-Lewin, but it still did feel very samey, didn't it? No, you're right, it's probably just because he's been here a couple of days, and now we'll look for other things, but I think that's why a lot of people
it will look the same because there's very little to choose from.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a major issue, isn't it? Just that there's very little players that you can move around when, you know, and that Lindstrom Harrison thing is, I mean, I think it says more about Lindstrom that he hasn't grabbed that position with both hands.
But not his position.
No, I know that,
well,
but I just think that
I understand.
I think he should be making more of that position, and maybe he will with someone who tells him to play higher, or maybe if he brings Patterson in and has someone like James Garner at right midfield, someone tucks in a little bit, that might help. I don't know, but there's just, you look at the bench and you sort of, you know, James Garner to come back, Irabunen to come back, Schmitty. We now know that Brozier's not gonna play, is he? Let's be honest. It's no one seems to, in those positions, no one seems to grab hold of the position. Beto doesn't grab hold of it when he plays up front, even though obviously he scored in the FA Cup. But when he plays in the Premier League, you can see that his first touch just lets him down. And if he's not running onto through balls, which we very rarely provide anyway, that it's a struggle for him to get into games just by the nature of the style he plays in. And the biggest problem with this team is, obviously this was a problem Sean Dyche couldn't solve either, and this will be the problem of what David Moyes has got to find, is how do you get a consistent threat other than just set pieces? What is that threat that you can go back to and go, we've got an opportunity here? First 12 to 18 months of Sean Dyche being the manager, set pieces were always massively key. Now, I don't know how much it's got to do with losing his set piece guy in the summer, but then why wasn't he replaced? Like, do you know what I mean? It's like, they'll have a set piece guy on the bench. You know, a coordinator comes out when they've got stuff, when they've got the free kicks and corners and stuff. But why wasn't he replaced then? And Moyes has already hinted he's going to bring one in. I think he's going to have to bring one in like ASAP, even if it's just temporary. You know, because that needs. I watched this last night, and I was saying we need a kicking coach, not an actual set piece, because the first two that came in, we couldn't beat the first man, and it was like you watch that and you go, what? Like they look like they're all off the cuff now. We were a team that were being talked about like Arsenal in terms of set pieces. Now they all look like they're off the cuff.
Well, that's mainly because McNeil took.
No, I know, but again, though, that's like a big thing of like the last 6 months is like there's no backup plan to the first plan in any kind of position. No. It's so weird. It's like if you lose your first, you lose your man who plays in a position or whatever, the responsibility, then the backup is like hasn't been prepped.
Well, it's
so weird.
One of the things I didn't understand last night with the corners, and particularly in the first half, because we did get a few, was Ashley Young just took the same corner every time, and it was like, why isn't Jack Harrison going to? I know, say what you want about him, he surely can kick a football, right? So, and he's a left footer, so why not, like when Young took one and Mings headed it away, go next one, like Jack, go and take it, go back post.
If McNeil is your set piece taker and he's left footed, then surely the next person should be left footed. That should be an absolute given, shouldn't it? It's like the next person, and you stay back in training all the time, and you work and you work and you work on that. Like, these are the fundamentals that I can't understand why they don't look like they've been prepared. And I know loads of people go, these players are bad, but they go to work every day and they train every single day on certain aspects of the game. It's like Mikalenko, I was saying last night on my aftermatch. It's like, if I was Everton now, for an hour after training, I'd just have a coach or whoever playing a ball
ahead of him,
and he hits it in first time every time without thinking about it, without taking a touch, muscle memory, and I'd be doing that an hour every day, every single day.
Half an hour even, just
and
extra,
saying, that's where you're supposed to be. Now, we want you hitting it first time because, again, it's the quickness of the game. We take a touch for everything.
If only we had a left back first team coach, he was unbelievable.
Listen, maybe there'll be something that gets looked at now. If you all right, we want to bring players in, but you've got to improve the players that we've got. And I find those fundamentals of like set pieces, it's like it just burns me head out. There was one really late on that Mikalenko had, and there was a general feeling around me that people just didn't even expect it to get in the box.
I know.
And he played
the
it
one
deep.
at the end. It went
he played it
Toffee
deep, and Toffee did the wrong header.
To be fair, he was stretching.
No, I know. I'm saying he actually headed it where maybe he should have just let it drop in front of him. Then he could get. But anyway, but I just find stuff like that infuriating, because they do train every day. They do put a lot of hours in. Like, can't a couple of them just go, right, we're going to stay behind for half an hour and do more, encourage more.
Maybe.
You know, it's that kind of stuff really fascinates me, that when you're talking about, like, trying to get everything out of players, that kind of stuff fascinates me.
Got to believe in it though, haven't you, to do it? I mean, one of the things I said on me Matt's reaction, or the 3 talking point thing, was, if I was David Moyes, because I know he's done this before, and Martinez has done it as well, is get an attacking coach in, even if it's for just one day a week, for one session a week, whatever, because you have got to squeeze everything. But we're not going to be able to replace the front 5 until the summer. Probably not then anyway, but you know what I mean. But you've got to give them a different bit of training, a different bit of finishing, maybe a different way of thinking. We've got to try and squeeze everything. I think
you've got to go through, like, certainly the first thing is you've got to go through, like, what's worked, or like what's the kind of thing that's worked for us to score goals. And I was like trying to think back, like the Bournemouth game where we were so dominant, and I'm thinking, like, you know, the goal Dom scored, where did that come from? It come from McNeil playing a nice little threaded ball through. And it's like, can we replicate that? Is there a way to replicate that? Where, you know, that pattern of play, how did it work that day? You know, there's similar stuff down at Ipswich when we beat them as well. Okay, when we beat Palace, it was like a couple of good shots, or certainly one. And it's like, how can we replicate? Where have we scored those kind of goals from this season?
I also do think as well that you can see the confidence is on the floor as well. Don't get me wrong.
Absolutely. Harrison is a prime example of that.
This isn't me. And this, I know it annoys people sometimes when I say they're better than the show, and this isn't me saying that. This is just, confidence is making them even if you think their quality's low, their confidence is dragging that under, because we are, no matter what anything is, we are in those 4 positions. I believe they're underperforming, might only be slightly underperforming, but I'd expect, this is what I've said, I'd expect a few of them front players who've played in the position to at least get like 1 or 2 goals after 20. I'm not talking, there's better quality around, and Everton need to bring players in. I hold my hands up to that. It's further back where I think, you know, whatever, but that's why having a sort of like an attacking coach to try to break the cycle of what they've been doing, because if we can bring a couple of additions in, which I think we'll have to in the forward areas, that'll freshen it up and give us something different. Well, then other players have got to step up as well. I think confidence, it gets talked about so often, and it is a massive key thing. And when people talk about great managers, they often talk about the man management of them. But it is like, even Harrison, I think, you know, you can tell he's on the floor, because he's not even doing the things that he was good at, which was typically going on his right foot and cutting back on his left foot and throwing across it. He's not even doing that now. He's like, he gets the ball and he looks, I was somewhere last night, it's like, this is a lad whose trajectory in football is so unique. And he must have worked his absolute bollocks off to get to where he is. You know, going through the, you know, universities in America, MLS, Premier League, Champions,
working so hard under Bielsa. And yet you watch him and you don't see any fight in him. Like, there was one last night, I think it was like round the edge of the arb, he got it and he just took it off him like that. And the amount of times you see that and you think, there's more. No one's saying Jack Harrison's an amazing footballer, but what he did do was that work rate, that absolute work rate. You know, you look at it the wins, the battles he'd have in the game, and you know, he's up there with very competitive, and you just see all that now drained out of him completely. And that must be confidence. And on the other side, it's similar with Njai, because the brightness is still there, but he's so deep, and he picks the ball up in the wrong areas, and maybe he's going into the wrong areas to pick the ball up, and then he's caught out because he turns around and he's 30 yards from goal, so he's not creating anything. And he's still having loads of dribble attempts, and the dribble attempts are about 50-50. But he's so far away, and it isn't threatening, and they double up on him, and it's like, that's why Michalenko has to start getting higher up the pitch. And I think if there was one noticeable thing last night, it was that we were a bit more aggressive, and I suppose that's where it's going to start from. Because when we talked about Dyche, and when we'd say there has to be more, it was because how deep we sat and how hard everyone had to work defensively, rather than seeing the other side of it. It was like if you play higher up the pitch and you defend higher up the pitch, and you got more chance of stealing it, which we did a couple of times last night, nearly fell. And then you're in higher areas, you're in better areas. And that has to come from players passing the ball quicker, creating the space by passing it round. Obviously, we played it out from the back a lot more last night. That has to come from there, and there is a risk and reward thing, and that's going to be one. That was noticeable. It was that, and Dom being sort of right on the line as well. And
having people buy him. That was a big thing, having people buy him. We talked before about playing not to concede, but I thought we were at least trying to win the game last night. The quality wasn't there, clearly, but we were trying to win it. I mean, you talk about Jack Harrison there. Villa's first chance of the game came from him passing the ball back when he could have turned and gone. There was a lot of space, and that is a player with no confidence. Tried to lay it back to Young and hit it too hard, and they nicked it. And the Trishagana gay there, he should win the 50-50 on the edge of the box, and he doesn't. And Rodgers skips past a couple, it's a good save by Pickford. And that was a warning not to give the ball away. And that's why I'm saying with Harrison, at least if you play him on the left, at least he can run and just throw it in. He hasn't got a check back. He can get crosses in, and then we can get bodies into the box. There was one in the first half where it wasn't Jack Harrison, but it's come from the other side. I think it might have been Michalenko again. He hit a deep cross, and Harrison was coming in. We had 3 or 4 plays in the box, and it's come from up from this side, and Jai's there, and Harrison's coming in, and we haven't seen that a lot of the time. We were too far back, so when the cross came in, it was only Dom. So if he missed it just went all the way back, and their full-back cleared it. So that was a little bit of a positive sign, but I think where people's fears are correct, absolutely correct, is that when we get into those areas, we just don't look like we can score a goal. And a little bit will be confidence, but the other bit is execution, whether them players are staying calm, whether they just haven't got the quality. And we know that the Corey's put the ball in the net before. We know that Calvert-Lewin has put the ball in the net before. And, we had that moment where Michalenko plays a lovely ball, bends it in, and Dom does really well, chests it forward. And if he lets it bounce again, he's actually on top of Martinez, and he might actually hit the target. He took it early, and I know why he took it early, because he hasn't been getting chances. But I think if he's just a little bit calmer there, as he's chested it, he lets it roll a bit more, and then when he strikes it with the left foot, it's inside the post instead of going outside the post. But it was a good bit of play, but it was one where he has to hit the target, doesn't he?
Well, again, I think he'd been caught offside a couple of times before that, and it was the key was, you could see, was he's trying to get onto the other side of the centre forward, and that time it worked. And I mean, it's the target. Got to hit the target. Who knows what could happen? Could
parry it or whatever.
Yeah, could go anywhere, couldn't it? I think sometimes, again, forwards, when they're not in form, they're always trying to just do everything to. It's weird. It's like counterproductive. It's like they're not hitting.
It's like force everything.
Yeah, you're not just hitting the targets as much. It was a decent opportunity. It was a good first one. We think he's in the game.
He's in now. Yeah.
He's made that run, and he was trying to get in there all the time from then on. And it was a good outball because we were supporting him. But I just think hit the target. Make the keeper have to make a decision. Who knows?
We had the other one. We had a good little move with the court where it went out to Michalenko, and he put it back first time. The court, he's tried to flick it instead of maybe just opening his body up with the instep. He's tried to flick it beyond Martinez, and then Dom had a really good chance again where it's coming, and he's pulled it down. It was like it was in slow motion, and he never sort of was confident he'd score, and he sort of just stabs it goalwards, and it gets kicked off the line. No real danger, as in it wasn't like a last gasp challenge, but it was kicked off the line. It's like if you'd just had a bit of composure, or even just leathered it, you might have scored. But there was sort of no conviction in what he's doing, and you can tell he's on the floor as well. And then they had a good chance, didn't he, with Tielemans right on half time, and it got put back to him. Rodgers hit it broke back, or Ramsey hit it broke back, and when he drew his foot back,
everyone thought
he scored. And they'd already had, the one where Ashley Young thought he was still playing for Villa with the back pass, which was shocking, really. And
it's absolutely shocking when you watch it again.
It's terrible, isn't it?
It's so bizarre. Yeah. There's nobody to pass to.
No.
But again, I think that
he could have just played that down the line.
I think because it looked like Moyes had asked them to play quicker. I think there was a few times. I think early on, Branthwaite got caught dribbling across.
They tried to go past 3 men.
And it was like, again, it was like that thing of like, they've obviously been told to play quicker and they're not reacting to things quick enough. And I think the one with Ashley Young was that showed again. It's like, if you're not playing and if you're not training at that speed and you've been playing at a certain speed where everything suits you, and that might be the thing that catches Ashley Young out maybe as we go forward. It's like, if he wants to play at a higher tempo, if he can't play at that tempo, then and mistakes like that are going to start happening, because talking about 39-year-old man playing in the Premier League against very, very quick players. And that was notable as well, how quickly Villa was snapping it up, and Decore would want an extra touch, or Ashley Young would want and you're holding your breath, especially when it's around the back.
Around the back, yeah.
Because that's what they are good at, and that's because they've got quick, young, powerful players, and they're like the absolute opposite of us.
Yeah, I mean, from where I was sat as Watkins hit it, I was just waiting for the net to bustle. I don't know whether your view was any better, but when he hit it, I thought, because it got...
I didn't think he was going to miss.
You're always hoping Pickford would get something on it, but even though he's out of his box, but when it went past Pickford, I was just like... So when it went wide, you start, and then when Sealemans put that one wide, you start thinking, ooh,
maybe it is our night.
Is it? Are we gonna? We went in at half time 0-0. Came out for the second half. I thought Villa got on the front foot at the start of the second half a bit more, but the first half was quite even. I mean, Onana got booked for a late challenge on Guy, and then he might have been lucky to stay on the pitch. A couple of instances where he may well have got a booking if the referee hadn't already booked him. But I thought they got on the front foot a bit without creating anything. They just dictated the play a little bit, and we stopped doing what we. I don't know whether it was just a bit of a lack of confidence, or whether I don't know whether the instructions were different at half time. Don't know why they would have been, because we were in the game, but we sort of stopped doing what we'd done okay in the first half at the start of the second, and ultimately though, the core could have played forward and didn't play it back, and then Branthwaite skips forward and then tries to give it to Njai, and he's flat-footed and it goes past him, and it's just one pass to Watkins, and before you know it, it's in the back of the net. And I think the goalkeeper could do a bit better, because he starts to come and stops, and the minute you stop, his positioning was all wrong then, and all Ollie Watkins has got to do is hit the target, and he did. And obviously it's a massive uphill struggle from then, isn't it?
I must admit, when I was in the ground, and even afterwards when I was talking about the goal, I didn't realise the part Branthwaite had in the goal. But the Corey, why does he just lean into that? He's there, he's right on the touchline. Why not just show the badge? There was one about 5 minutes after the goal where they were going through the middle, and Mangala didn't even touch the ball, just leaned on the player, he fell over and he took the ball. I'm thinking, why didn't the Corey do that on the other side of the pitch? I don't understand this fascination with not wanting to, with not like sort of seeing the bigger picture. Like, just lean into it.
I don't know whether it's a fascination, he just probably...
But no, I think all footballers got this fascination of not giving fouls away. It's mad. It's mad. You can see that a player there's an opportunity to break for the opposition. Like, we're pressing, but just lean into him. Let him know you're there. If they give a foul, give a foul.
We're in our own half.
You're not getting booked for it, by the way, because it's a shoulder badge.
No, it's nothing.
And he doesn't. And he lets him go past, and then Branthwaite, I don't know why he's doing it.
He sort of nicks the ball, but then I don't know. I don't
know whether he's trying to pass to Njai, but he's not going to get Njai standing next to him, and he's passed it literally into a zone where there's only going to be one winner. And you can see Tarky just blowing out of his arse. There's no chance. And you're right, Pickford sort of, I don't know what he was doing. I don't know
whether he thought I'll come flying out, and then he thought actually no, and he stopped. And as he stopped, he was shoot. The goal was open. I could see it from me. The goal was open, and it was all he had to do was roll it, and he did. And he did, and then that was obviously it's an uphill thing.
But again, that's the thing where people point fingers, won't they, and go, that's when we're being ultra cautious. That would never happen, because Branthwaite never moves into that zone, and if we're not pressing, then we'll have more men back, and we'll deal with that because we're in the low block. But if you're gonna move forward and try and be aggressive and score goals, you have to have something, and it will early on. It will players are going to have to learn it, and the manager's going to have to learn who's available. Because like the Corey was done, wasn't he? After like 50 minutes. Do you know what I mean? Whether he was, whatever the opinion, but after like 50 minutes, an hour, he couldn't do any more. He couldn't keep that intensity up. I mean, one of the reasons why we've managed to have so many old players in our team is that we don't press like that. No one's asked to put that no one supports Dome because they're all 10 yards behind, so they can drop another 10 yards and be defensive. And that got us. Where's that got us? It's got us nowhere. Draws,
3 games,
3 wins, a few draws and defeats, and we've had defeats recently.
Yeah, but even the last home game, Tarkovsky's the wrong side, isn't he? When Chris Wood scores, the centre backs, it's individual error against Forest. Even though it was a great finish, great goal, but Tarky's the wrong side. And then last night, exactly the same at Plantway. The manager changed. He'd already brought Lindstrom on, hadn't he? Was it? Yeah. Well, it just brought him on, hadn't he?
Do you think that sub should have actually been the 3 at the back and maybe brought Patterson on there?
It was 0-0 though, wasn't it? Wasn't it 0-0 when Lindstrom come on? Sure, it was 0-0 and then they scored. But I think when he did go to 3 at the back, I thought he made the sub too late, I'll be honest. I thought it should have been... He made the Lindstrom one after like 62, 63 minutes. Whatever it was. Yeah, I think we might have been one down by then, because it was mid-50s when Watkins scored, sorry. But I thought the 2 subs later on, O'Brien and Beto, should have been 10 minutes in. We were already behind. Yeah. And I think Villa were sort of coping quite comfortably with us. We had equal amounts of the ball, but we weren't really doing anything. Maybe when we went to 3 at the back, we did sort of push on a little bit more. But yeah, Patterson's more than that.
That's what I'm saying. I would have thought...
I'd have taken the Corey off and put Lindstrom, if you wanted to bring him on, in a central area. But I know why he did. He put Beto, but he's trying to put Beto up with Calvert-Lewin. I don't know. I don't know, mate. Just look. I don't, because you're looking at it going...
Or you could have put Patterson on the right wing back and moved Lindstrom inside.
That's what I'm saying. Lindstrom could have just gone off and been... If you're going for a genuine 3-5-2, even if it's for 15 minutes... Then play Lindstrom off the 2 strikers. He still could have had Mangala and Adrissa as the 2 sitters. Patterson could have been wide right, and you could have pushed Michalenko higher up. Obviously, you've got Njai then. Where's he? Is he a double 10? Is he coming up? You know what I mean? It's like, or is he going to wing back? Well, there's no point having him there. So, but the manager's going to have to... These are all the things he's going to learn about these players, isn't he? What to do with what. But, saying that, we still had... Everton had arguably the best chance of the whole half. I mean, Watkins was a really good finish, done, albeit Pickford played his part. It was a lovely breakaway goal, but Everton had the chance near the end where we play the ball and it's over everyone's head and Lindstrom gets in. Pickford slips, doesn't he, as he hits it? Lindstrom's in and he rolls it across the goal. And Dominic Calvert-Lewin all night will have been thinking, just give me one in front of the goal. And it's in front of the goal. And all he has to do is hit the target and he blazes it over. And the frustrating thing is, if he'd have done an air shot, Jake O'Brien was behind him to tap it in with no one near him. And he blasts it over. And at the time, I was thinking he must have been under pressure or something. When I watched it again, it was shocking. It really was bad. There was no one near him. All he had to do was steer it in and we would have ended up with a point. And for all Villa, as good a play as they are and as good a squad as they've got, coming away saying we could have ended up nicking a point. And we also had, the penalty decision, that there was a lot of screaming and shouting by me for it. For the 2 things, Dom was wrestled to the floor, and obviously Lindstrom jumps and you see the hands in his back and it pushes him in midair, and apparently they checked it for about 3 seconds.
Did they check both? That's the thing, isn't it? That's the thing, isn't it? Did they check both? And I seen the Lindstrom one like in real time, and I thought it was a penalty. I really did. I thought he looked like he'd been pushed in the back. A couple of people messaged me saying they'd seen it on TV, and they in real time, and they thought it was a penalty. So because obviously you see things at the match and you don't always get the best view of it. Course, but to me in real time, and Lindstrom was trying to get that across to the referee, and the referee was having none of it. And as I said, the other one you see plays in the box, and they were quite clever in the second half, the amount of times they went down. And so Martinez is putting himself down as well as in to say, well, it wasn't just that, I got, and all that kind of thing. He's good at that. But I thought that was a penalty. I really did. I thought, when you see what people get penalties for, I just thought it was... I was at the time, I was like, that was either a penalty or Lindstrom just missed an absolute sitter and he's trying to make up for it. But I think it's a foul. I think he's pushed in the back. And
Keith Hackett, you know, the skeleton said it wasn't a pen, obviously, Gallagher, but he never heard him go against referees in all the years he's been doing it. Keith Hackett said it was a penalty. He said there was a case for two fouls. He said, but it was definitely the push on Lindstrom because he's about to head it and he's shoved in the back as he's jumping, which is a foul. Yeah. So, I don't know.
I don't get this.
Martinez might have saved it, but
I just don't get this threshold thing. I really don't. It's not high. The threshold's not. Oh, all that. It's like he was pushed in the back. Like, you know what I mean? It's like it's a penalty.
Bournemouth have got it because they get about 1 million penalties.
Of course they would.
So yeah, listen, we had the opportunity to come away with it, and I come out of the ground thinking it's ultimately deflated because you're like, you know, another game's gone and we haven't won and we haven't scored and we've changed the manager. But I did see some little glimmers of hope. But I just thought it was an even game. I thought it was a 0-0 or a 1-1 maybe. And you know, a few people disagreed. I mean, it's fine, but when I went and checked the stats, it was like 50-50.
Is it
shots level, both had the same number of chances, and I was like, yeah, that's what my eyes sort of saw. Doesn't mean Everton are as good a team as, of course they're not. No. Of course Villa are much better than Everton.
I think the problem
just
is
on the game.
It's quite telling or worrying, isn't it, that when games are 50-50s, we don't win them.
No.
And that's the major problem.
But what I would say, just on this occasion, is if the swap strikers, Everton have won the game.
Of course, listen, the quality they have.
Just because Watkins
the quality they have is so much. They're a Champions League team.
Yeah. And a good side.
I think the problem is that, there's very few games this season which you look at 50-50s and go, you know, why haven't Everton won that? And it used to be more like who scores first, but now we've become a team that's so incapable of scoring goals. That you know that those 50-50s are going the other way. You know, and that's I think that's the worry for a lot of people, isn't it? Is like putting the ball in the back of the net is the thing you have to do, and we just can't.
That absolutely, and they are spot on. I mean, again, I've like I said, when I've said I think we'd be, you know, this or that and all that or that, and I'm talking about players just doing the basics, and now at the moment they don't even seem right now to be able to do the basics of, because even if you're a player who like underperforms or whatever, you'd still expect all of those players to chip in with a couple of goals, even if you know they're not good enough and you go, they're not good enough, are they? And you accept it, that's fine, but we're not even doing that. It's like it's terrifying right now, it is, and I get everyone who's worried that absolutely. I still think we'll just about scrape it, but it is terrifying because there's no one's sort of picked the mantle up out there and gone, like, I'm leading and you'll all come with me, and again, you score goals and you get in the little habits, everybody then sort of relaxes and you see other players getting goals, then it's what happens with a lot of teams. But right now you wouldn't be confident of Everton players only at the bar challenge, you wouldn't be confident they'd hit the target, would you?
No.
With no one near them right now, because it just seems so difficult. We make it look so difficult.
I just hope
score a goal.
I just hope that David Moyes and Kevin Felwell are out there at the moment, just picking up the phone, just ringing anyone and everyone. You know, not the Samaritans, but
no.
You know, have to be, because I think what Moyes, watching his interviews, press conference, you know, he knows that a consistent threat isn't at the club, and he's going to have to try and bring people in. And if that's short term, then so be it. But we have to.
Are you saying we need to get Danny Ings?
I was thinking more William. No, but we have to bring. We're going to have to do some wheeling and dealing and get some place at the club, aren't we? And there can't be any messing about it. It has to be like. It has to be done quickly.
It's done now,
it has to be done quickly.
Games are going by.
Obviously, we've got Spurs Sunday, and then following week, obviously, it's Brighton. But players have to come in, because this squad, in the short term, is not going to be good enough. And February's going to be a month where we have a lot of games against
we've got
teams.
Leicester.
That's what I'm saying. We've got games coming up where we have to start winning games, and you have to have that. You have to have that ability to score goals, haven't you? It doesn't matter what kind of dominance you have. We might have 70% possession. I don't think we ever will, but if you can't find a way to put the ball in the back of the net, then and it's just becoming that thing of like the longer it goes on, obviously for everyone it's becoming harder and harder and harder, and it's so worrying. And you see other teams who are down there, and you always think, your mind always goes, oh, they don't have any problem scoring goals, even though they might be conceding goals or whatever. But you look at them and go, yeah, but they've got a chance. You look at Ipswich and go, you think they score goals, so they've got a chance of winning games, and yet we just can't do that. We can't do that. We've got to find a way, haven't we? We've got to find a way to, and that might be in playing the way we play in the final third, throw more crosses in or shoot more or whatever, and try to create chances that way. We did make a few chances. That's the thing you come away from last night, you go, well, we've had some chances, not enough, but we have had some chances, and we have had some shots on target and stuff, and you've got to do more of that, and then it might break and people might get goals, but we're gonna. I think we're gonna, without a shadow of a doubt, need new additions, without a shadow, and quickly, because we can't just keep. This is what we've done. We keep kicking the can down the road because we can't trust anyone in our own squad either. A couple of weeks ago we talked about we've got 4 strikers now. No, we haven't. No, we haven't. We've been waiting for Garner for ages. We've been waiting for Everton for ages. Dwight McNeil, what's going on with him? Do you know what I mean? It's like you can't trust the players you've got in the squad. And again, there's no knight in shining armour ready to come back from an injury or whatever to save us. So you've got to use you've got to use what you've got, and so that might be Patterson coming into. It's interesting that Martin Sheriff was on the bench last night. Don't know where that come from. Yeah. You've got to use every tool you've got available to you, and it's there has to be an urgency about the situation. I think Moyes knows that now. No, I think he knows that now. That there's no hiding place from this. This is a very, very. Some of his comments last night were really interesting. Of like saying, I don't want to be the manager of a team that's down there. I find that very interesting after one game, and the fella didn't ever say that. But he said, I haven't come. He said the other day, I haven't come here to be down. I'm embarrassed, he said, didn't he? Which is why he didn't make a big fanfare, I think, when he come on the pitch. It was just, off we go. But I suppose some fans could maybe take a little bit of solace in that he didn't look happy afterwards. And I think it's, we might have won last night in a lucky win, and people go, oh, sure, it's not as bad, or I don't know, but I think that it's plain to see for him now that what the deficiencies are. The thing about it is, I've seen a few people, there was, I don't know what the split was. People who liked Dyche or thought it was all on the players. But seen a few comments, and again, don't know where these come from. There's a lot of mischievous stuff going on. Obviously, we all know on social media. Just the time, but there's a lot of it's no difference, or Dyche should have got us a point last night. Let's get it right. Dyche couldn't crack the problem, which was scoring goals. He said it himself. He could not, and it needed to be handed over to somebody else to try, and that's just facts. That's just the way it is. But he said that. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So we have to get away from this idea of like, nothing's changed, or we should have kept all, or anything like that. There shouldn't be anything like that. It should be about now the urgency, and that was the other thing about Sean Dyche is I think he would have been quite happy doing the same thing to the end of the season, thinking it would have been enough. After this game now, I think David Moyes fully understands the situation. He actually said, I've watched them train and they look really good, and I didn't think, again, some of it might have just been trying to get the confidence going, but maybe he's discovered there's a difference between what he sees on the training pitch to what happens when they cross that white line, and maybe that's a problem that he has to solve as well. There's just a massive confidence issue. Try and find out why that is as well. Why is that happening? And all these things our problems, unfortunately, like we said we said a lot in the last couple of weeks, is like there's so much that needs to be done in such a short time, and people have to get on with those jobs immediately at the football club, and I hopefully, I imagine they are now, because fresh pair of eyes has come in and gone, wow, the old fella from Community, when everything's on fire, and you go, wow, he's got to come in and go, yeah, this needs sorting now. Game on Sunday, and next week there has to be straight away you're going 1, 2, you can get 3 in a week, but it can't be like left to the last minute, because the games are just passing us by.
No, I think you're right, and I think Sean Dyche will have felt exactly the same. Probably watched them on a training ground and thought, if they look all right, and then he go across the white line, he can't do it. And then he sat there going, remember Carlo Ancelotti, remember that? There's two faces to this team. As we see it, we're still seeing it. No one, Frank Lampard, train great and then go out and don't, the last few managers haven't been able to get that consistency of getting it across. But I think maybe where David Moyes might be able to kick it up a level is maybe Kevin Thelbel and Sean Dyche sort of agreed on stuff, and we're like, right, let's see this or whatever. And Moyes just come in and gone, now there's an urgency, fresh pair of eyes, there's an urgency right now, and that might kick the rest of it into play. It's going to have to, we need new additions. Everyone's terrified, and they're absolutely right to be terrified right now, because we can't score goals. Defensively, yeah. I said right at the start, you've got to go up to 8th in the Premier League to find a team that's conceded sort of less than what Everton have done. So quite clearly, from a defensive standpoint, things aren't bad. But from an offensive thing, it's terrifying, and they've got to find solutions very quickly, and that'll be more shots at goal, more crosses, but better players, quick.
Well, again, just like, not labouring the point, last night we had loads of the ball just outside the box, but people will turn around and pass it backwards. Whereas what's wrong with getting it wide? Like, there was one, Mikalenko popped it wide, got first time crossing, think it forced the corner. It's like there has to be more of that. There has to be, rather than turning around and losing the impetus and letting them push up. You have to now take those moments on and figure out.
And then the corners have to be better, because you want, like we had the cup, that used to be really prevalent in Moyes' last spell. Build corner, and the noise would go up, and your team, you could see the opposition team like wilting almost, because it's corner after. Whereas last night, Bill was just coming in, I'll let it away.
Also, I noticed last night there was a few times where the ball would go to the right midfield or the left midfielder, and they'd be slightly tucked in, and all it needed was the fullback to be higher than them,
Mikalenko.
And you were past them.
Done my head.
You were past them.
He wouldn't go high.
But Ashley Young was doing as well, and you understand why Ashley Young did it.
But he kept coming towards Branthwaite instead of going away from him and creating the space. And
that has to be encouraged, doesn't it? Taking that risk, because every time we were in, and then if there's no one near the alternative, you have to go and start again. So you lose them. You've got nothing to show for it.
One player I thought done all right last night was Orel Mangala. Let's have a look at his numbers from the game last night. 98% passing accuracy, accurate long balls, 4 out of 4, 61 touches of the ball, 4 ball recoveries, 2 interceptions. You can see him, got around the pitch well. I thought he'd done all right, him and Idrissa Gana Gueye, up against 3 very good midfield players, all strong. On a night where nobody really stood out, did they?
Again, it's about the makeup of the team, isn't it? It's like to me, this is why a couple of players in key positions almost change the dynamic. It's like if you've got a right midfielder and suddenly you can go, Jack Harrison could be a left midfielder. Or if you've got a fullback that goes past your wide players, suddenly you've opened up the pitch. I think centre midfield's another one of them. Mangala in isolation can do that job. You just think if he had somebody ahead of him who was a creative player but a bit more all round,
you had a bit like Tielemans.
Then you've got someone, haven't you, who can just sit in, do the job,
and just get on with it.
Just get on with the job. But the problem is because Idrissa Gana Gueye is not that dissimilar, and then because the core is not that dissimilar, you've got 3 players who are like much of a muchness, and you can't really tell them the way they play. No. I mean, Mangala's different because he does just sit there. But you look at him and go, well, his numbers are, in terms of like keeping the ball, they're really good. He's not really getting us anywhere. No. But you need another player to get you up there.
Again, I think that's where people bang their head, because it is very similar in there. And you're like, They're all same. And
They're
even,
just slightly, there's slight
even
variations.
James
aren't they?
Garnett's just same.
Yeah.
And he's like, James Garnett's a good player, but it's just similar. Irabunim's slightly different because he travels with the ball. But you would love him. Like at Tielemans, obviously. Well, ironically, they got him for nothing. It's just him and Kamara, two of their midfielders, they got on free transfers and both are brilliant. They're a good side, but let's have a look at the overall stats anyway. From the game, Everton 0, Villa 1, 10 shots to the Toffees, 11 to the Villains, 3 shots on target each. XG, Everton 1.14, Villa 1.21, and a 50-50 split on a possession. So quite easily could be sat here going a 1-1 or a draw. And again, that was what my eyes told me. But we haven't won a game, we haven't scored, and Villa have won, and they're having a great season and a good side, and we've got to somehow solve it, and it's going to be difficult, and the answers may well be outside the building.
They've got to be outside the building.
And that's where Kevin
If they're
Thelwell...
inside the building, then...
Hello, Braden Graham.
That'd be funny.
No, we're going to need... I mean, people are talking 4. I don't know whether we'd get 4 in, but we definitely need 2 or 3 in.
5 for 4?
Yeah. Well, if it was, I know, again, people will probably throw things at the telly now when I say this, but if Willian was a short term 3, just to get us a bit something different to get over the line, maybe.
If it's him or nothing, I know which one I'm going.
Let's go for the other stuff before him first, though, but let's see. Let us know what you think in the comments section below. We're carrying on now on Premier, where we'll be going through your comments. Like, subscribe. See you later.